Hey there, everybody. Welcome to Fresh Out, the podcast, the number one podcast featuring cool guys talking about podcast stuff. I am the board game guru and game master extraordinaire, Johananan.
And I am the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and welcome to episode 124 of Fresh Out, the podcast. We are missing our podcast Poppy, Casualty CDG, Gary, this week. Once again, just due to life reasons, but we're hoping to have the full crew back together next week. But for now, Johananan and myself, we're here to hold down the fort, talk about some Call of Duty on Game Pass, talk about some movie summer box office successes or maybe failures in this case. We'll get to it. Jahan, we're recording this right after Memorial Day weekend. How was your weekend?
No, it was good. I was really busy, had a lot of stuff going on, had to do a party, and Jenny's finished moving in, so we had to build a bunch of furniture and stuff and that kind of thing. Pretty busy, hectic weekend.
Yeah, we had my wife's sister and two daughters were staying with us for the weekend, so we had family visiting, which was really nice, but it also means that it was myself and 6 girls in the house. So, it was a lot, and it was really fun. We had a great time, lots of activities, we kept really busy, but boy, am I tired today. So, just kind of getting back in the swing. Like, going back to work today was almost like a vacation from the vacation, if that makes sense.
Yeah. You have 2 girls.
I do.
Yeah. And do you think, girls or boys would be more tiring?
They're probably equally tiring.
Probably equally tiring.
In different ways.
Different ways. Interesting. Yeah, no, I had to go to a gender reveal this weekend. Very exciting stuff. Gender reveal for me and Jenny's baby coming up soon here.
What? Is this real?
Oh, wait. Yeah, this is real.
What? Wait.
Yeah.
So you're telling me this, you had a gender reveal this weekend that I wasn't invited to.
It was family. It was family only.
Over the pod?
Yeah, okay, we didn't tell anybody. Okay. Yeah, so...
Congratulations!
Hey, thanks, man. We're having a baby boy in November.
Oh, congratulations. Oh, this is exciting. You and I have always talked about kids and the future of kids and so on, and then you waited to reveal this to me live on the podcast. I love this. This is so exciting.
I did. I thought it'd be a good podcast moment, and yeah. I was really excited to tell you so we could be dad buddies. And
the only bad part is you've pulled my legs so many times on different things that I was like, I had to do are we serious? Are we not? And no, I'm very excited that this is real.
Yeah, man, I'm joining the ranks of dads, along with many others in our group lately, huh?
Indeed. Well, I'm always happy to. I'm here for you. Any questions you may have. Not saying that I'm an expert by any means, far from it. But I've learned a thing or two now, especially on my second go around.
Yeah, I'm excited. We're both really excited. It was all planned, and we've been trying. And November, baby boy, Novisi. My mom's already freaking out. Everybody's freaking out. My whole family, they're all excited. It's very exciting.
That's very exciting. Congratulations to both of you. You can pass it on to Jenny for me. I'll try to remember to send a message to her too over in the Discord or something, somewhere private. But yeah, that's exciting.
Indeed.
I say somewhere private as we announce it here on a podcast.
Yeah, no, I figured, some people are going to find out that I know through the podcast, which I also find amusing, so...
Yeah, that's fun.
If you didn't hear about it before this, we've been playing it very close to the chest, so no one take it personally.
How am I supposed to transition from that now to talking about Call of Duty? Who cares about Call of Duty?
Hey, you know what, man? I'm running out of time to play games. You're gonna have to explain to me how to get away with playing video games as a father. So that's how we'll transition.
There is a balance for sure. It can be difficult, but not as difficult as you think, just depending on how you do things. So yeah, we'll definitely be talking about it as time goes on.
Hell yeah.
Balancing kids and video games is a very interesting topic that it's hard to navigate, but it's doable.
Yeah, man, we're gonna have two dads on this podcast now. But yeah, almost as exciting as having a baby boy, Call of Duty Black Ops is confirmed day one on Xbox Game Pass. That's pretty big news. People were speculating, and here it is.
It's like not that shocking. Like we all kind of assumed that was going to happen with the Activision Blizzard purchase, but now getting it officially confirmed is like, it feels like a pretty big deal, and maybe a little bit of a shot in the arm for Xbox, as they've had just like a lot more negative news, I feel like, in the cycle recently.
Yeah, for sure.
Although, of course, with this news comes the headlines of like, well, are they cannibalizing their own game sales by putting it on Game Pass, and subscriber numbers for Game Pass aren't necessarily growing? Will it have an impact? And blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Just enjoy it for what it is. The game's still going to be available for sale across other platforms. It's still going to be available for sale on Xbox for people that don't subscribe to Game Pass, and Game Pass users are going to get it day one. That player base is going to be insane when it launches. I mean, Call of Duty games are anyways, but the Xbox ecosystem is going to be thriving that weekend.
Yes, that's one of the things that's not really, I feel, talked about in the calculations. When you put your game on Xbox Game Pass, you guarantee a thriving online community day one, which, if you don't have that, that can be a death sentence for a lot of online-based games. And this guarantees, I mean, Call of Duty doesn't really need to worry about it, but just, Xbox games in general, it is a way to guarantee a massive online audience day one playing your game. And yeah, I mean,
well, they've tried other things too that have proven to be successful, right? Like the people that are Game Pass subscribers that would have paid $70 for this game anyways, right? They are more likely now, if they're going to get this game as part of their Game Pass subscription, they are more likely to spend money on premium content because they didn't pay money for the game, right?
Sure.
I'm an example of somebody that was really looking forward to Starfield, which I got the game as part of my Game Pass subscription, but I willingly paid the $30-something for the premium digital deluxe version of the game or whatever it was called to get any future DLC, and I got to play the game like a week early or
As
many,
did
five
I.
days
I did
early.
the same thing.
I did that. People would absolutely do that for Call of Duty if that's an option for them. And I know that they're going to be doing. It's actually coming up. It seemed like the Xbox Direct showcase or Xbox Showcase game showcase. They're basically the presentation in lieu of the traditional E3, which E3 RIP. But that's coming up in like less than 2 weeks. It seemed like it was so far off, and we're actually like coming up on it, fast approaching. In 2 weeks, that'll probably be the focus of our podcast. So they're doing the normal Xbox game showcase and then doing a Call of Duty Direct immediately following, where they'll have a lot more details about this. I'm wondering if there will be some interesting tidbits that will be revealed there. But otherwise, this is kind of the big news we knew was coming, but it feels kind of nice, I guess, to have it confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually very excited for the Microsoft, the Xbox Live announcements and all that stuff. That's always a fun period of time for the podcast to like hear things, speculate about futures, and talk about what we're actually getting. And yeah, no, this whole Call of Duty thing, I think it's a good thing too. And your point of people spending extra money on things anyways, because they got it for free, is a good point. It's like an entirely new way to market games, pretty much. It's like, hey, you're getting it with the subscription service, but bells and whistles, go at them. And it might be better for games long term. Call of Duty, I enjoy it. I like playing it. I am not the kind of person that's going to buy every entry. I haven't bought a Call of Duty in a long time. I'm going to play this, and I might spend money on it because it's free on Game Pass, and only because it's free on Game Pass. This is a Black Ops game, which means they're going to be doing Nazi Zombies, which I'm a huge fan of. I remember they had a big DLC package where like George Romero, there's a huge like homage to him and all this extra stuff that you could get. If they do that here, I'll probably spend the money. And so they have someone outside of their audience coming in and giving them money because of this subscription. And it's just, yeah, it's a very interesting way that these things are happening now. I find it all very exciting for the future of games. And also, you know, most people can't afford to buy every game they want, but this gets you in the door at least on a lot of the ones that you want to play. And it guarantees that you're going to be paying at least a certain amount every month. So I think it's a win-win for everybody, in my opinion.
I'm right there with you too. That I play the occasional Call of Duty. I don't buy every entry annually. Like maybe every 2 to 3 years, I'll buy one, depending on if I have friends playing it. Because I have friends that buy it more consistently in the PlayStation ecosystem. But I will play it. I'll buy it sometimes to play with them. Xbox, like none of my, most of my friends are kind of like you. Like it's like, if we all decide to get it, maybe, but like not really in a hurry. That being said, if there's a new Call of Duty in my Game Pass library every year, like I'm absolutely going to install it and play it a little bit. I'm not saying I might put hundreds of hours into it, but I'll at least try it out and see what they've changed. I also feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, John, you might have a different perception of this, but I do, I guess what do you want to call it? Within Call of Duty, there's a lot of like Call of Duty franchises within the franchise, right? You've got your Modern Warfares, you've got your Black Ops, things like that. And I feel like Black Ops is probably the most popular. Modern Warfare would be the one that would compete with it as far as like the most popular sub Call of Duty. You know what I mean? Like the most popular franchise within Call of Duty or the Black Ops.
I don't know the numbers on that, but Black Ops is my preference because once again it does have the Nazi Zombies side game in it, but also it just the weapons tend to be cooler. You know, you have like ballistic knives and stuff like that, and it's just a different feel. I've always enjoyed them more.
Yeah, I'm looking to see what even it looks like. Modern Warfare and Black Ops are really the only ones that have multiple entries anyway. So like, of course those are the two popular. I'm looking. There's Modern Warfare spin-offs. Like there was Advanced Warfare, and
there was World at War, and
and Infinite Warfare was one. There, but then of course they've had World War II, they've had Cold War, Vanguard, or Black Ops was Cold War was Black Ops, I should say. So they're like, they do all kinds of things. The titling of Call of Duty games is insane. I can't keep up with them, especially since I don't get every single one. But I just feel like people get excited for the Black Ops games in particular. And we haven't had a Black Ops game since 2020. So I feel like this being the first one to launch on Game Pass is a good one for them. It's the new Black Ops.
It's a big win for Game Pass for sure. The whole thing, so I do have a point about that though, like, so it's very exciting. This is an absolute win, 100%. But at the same time, like, one of the biggest games that's coming to Xbox Game Pass that's a huge deal is a long existing franchise from an acquired company of Microsoft. You know what I mean? They're still not doing what we want them to do. This is exciting. This is cool. This is going to bring life to Game Pass. But at the same time, like, I want my original IPs. I want my first party content. That's what I want. I want my fables. I want new IPs that we haven't heard of. I want my Xbox exclusives. But God, they're just pulling away from it so hard, and it's interesting to see, to say the least.
We'll talk about it a little bit when we get into our fresh games, because Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 did launch last week, which I know we kind of teased at the episode, and I've played it a little bit, but we'll get into that conversation when we get into fresh games, because there's a whole conversation to be had around exactly what you're getting into. Yeah,
absolutely. We can save it for there. I have a first person shooter down there too, so we'll talk about some stuff. But yeah, as of now, Black Ops win.
Yeah, I'd say so. So there's that piece of news. The other big thing that I wanted to talk about that kind of leads into the fresh movies of the week is the summer box office, which I kind of proposed the question to you and Gary a few weeks ago. I think it was when we were talking about The Fall Guy. And that movie was like an original, not original, it's based on a existing IP for a television series, but like it had all the marketing, it had good buzz, it had big stars, and like people just didn't really turn out to go see it in the way that I think the studios were hoping. And now here we are again, where Furiosa, which is Mad Max spin-off movies. I believe the full title is Furiosa: A Mad Max Saga. Launched in theaters to just all-around praise for the movie. The reviews are really positive, and it won the box office. It went up head-to-head against the Garfield movie, the new animated Garfield film.
Yeah.
And while Furiosa did win the weekend box office, it was a historic weekend low for Memorial Day in, I believe, like 30 years, something like that. I'm trying to find the headline now because I didn't have it pulled up. But essentially, it's like while Furiosa won the weekend, it doesn't really mean much in the grand scheme of things because it was a pretty low weekend. So it's just it's a shame. And I'll get into it here in Fresh Movies, but the movie's fantastic. I kind of understand why it doesn't have like the same mass appeal as like an Apes movie or a Marvel movie. But man, like you would think with the love that Mad Max Fury Road gets, that Furiosa would have at least had a little bit more people trying to go see it in theaters. Am I crazy here, or is everybody busy for Memorial Day?
I mean, so we talk about this stuff all the time, and so what's starting to seem to me at least is that I think the movie companies just aren't able to read our wants anymore. They keep giving us the same stuff. I mean, Furiosa looks great. I really want to see it, and I loved Mad Max Fury Road. But it is once again an established movie that did well, doing a spin-off and trying to start like another multi-movie franchise. And like, man, people just they don't care as much anymore. You know what I mean? Like we're burnt out. We want something fresh. We want something new. I think that might be part of what it is. It's like, oh, Mad Max, yay! What is that? The sixth one? Like, I think it's just I'm sure there's probably a lot of that, and it's just hard.
I think I mentioned this last week, or I've said this in the past, leading up to this movie, which, to be totally transparent, I have been super excited for. It was on my most anticipated movies. I even went back. I think me and Gary both had it. You had it as an honorable mention, or maybe you and I had it and Gary had it as an honorable mention. I can't remember. But that being said, I did say this is a spin-off of the main Mad Max franchise, of a side, focusing on a side character played by a different actress than played her in the main franchise. So like, I feel like that is prequel. Kind of a tough sell. Yeah, so I kind of get it, but it's really good. It's really good.
I believe that, and it looks great to me, and I've heard great things. I've heard nothing but great things. My younger brother actually didn't like it, but he might have just been
interesting.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to him more after I see it. But
maybe when you go see it and we talk about it in the episode, maybe Keon joins us for a quick. Is it Keon that you're talking about?
Yeah, Keon. Yeah, he could pop on and talk for a bit.
Keon hops on and we talk about it a little bit more in depth. But no, here's the thing, and I guess I'll use this moment to clearly transition to Fresh Movies of the Week, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah,
you actually kind of hit the nail on the head with unbeknownst to you, of just things being a little bit too much the same, so on and so forth. And the Mad Max movies, I've seen all of them in the franchise.
Yeah.
And the first one is like, it's fine. The second one is really great, The Road Warrior.
Yeah.
And that's where you get really more of like the Mad Max DNA of what you think of with Mad Max and the desert and the long car chases and things like that. That really originated more in the second one. The third one, Thunderdome, is like kind of the crazy stuff with Tina Turner in the first half, and then the second half is just super strange.
Master Blaster, dude, all the way.
Yeah, And then Fury Road was just like a wow. No, I don't think anybody saw it being the kind of the masterpiece it was, considered one of the best movies of the 2000s period of the millennium. Literally considered one
It's
of the best
kind of the
movies
perfect
millennium.
movie. Yeah, I agree.
The first movie in a long time that's made people go like, "Oh, I didn't know that was possible in movies." You know, especially with so many of the practical things that they did in it. It was truly groundbreaking. I love that movie. I've revisited it. It holds up so good. And Furiosa, I really, really enjoyed it. I loved it a whole lot. But the thing against Furiosa, the thing holding it back, is that it is just kind of more of the same of Fury Road. Now, if you're going to do more of the same of a movie, that's a great movie to do more of the same with. But, like, it just kind of feels like in the shadow of that movie a little bit. It feels very similar. There's characters that cross over from Fury Road, since this is like a prequel to it, other than Furiosa. There's other characters like Immortan Joe and his sons and things like that are like pretty prominent here. And the chases and action scenes are fantastic, but never really seem like they surpass anything from Fury Road. That doesn't make them any less great, but it's just like it's nothing that blows you away in the same way, because now this is what we're expecting in a way.
Yeah.
So that would be my complaint. If Fury Road is a 5 out of 5 star movie for me, Furiosa is like a 4.5 out of 5 star movie for me.
Okay.
So let's be clear. I liked this very much. It's just never going to go beyond what came before it, if that makes sense. So that's kind of my take on Furiosa. Anya Taylor-Joy does great as the character. There's no point when I'm watching the movie and I'm like, man, wish this was Charlize Theron. Like, no, nothing like that. Anya Taylor-Joy is great. She doesn't even really have that much dialogue in the movie. She's very quiet for most of it. She actually doesn't even show up like Furiosa's in the movie throughout, but in the beginning of the movie, she's played by a younger actress because she's much younger.
Yeah.
I don't think Anya Taylor-Joy even shows up on screen until almost an hour into the movie. Like, I clocked it when I was watching it.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah. There's a lot of Chris Hemsworth in this as Dementus, who's kind of the main villain of it, and he is great. This might be the best Chris Hemsworth performance I've seen, and I've liked a lot of his Thor stuff, but with him as Thor, you know what you're getting. This is him being a crazy Mad Max world villain. Demented as in the, it's like in the name. He is chewing up the scenery, having a good time. He's fantastic. I think he's kind of the standout performance of Furiosa.
No,
so yeah,
that's good for him. I mean, one of the biggest Australian actors in the past decade gets to be in the Australian franchise. That's excellent.
Right. So if you don't care about Furiosa's origin, if that's not really your thing, go see it for Dementus, because that's what I came away really digging from the film. So Furiosa, extremely fresh is how I would rate it. And
Okay.
And even though there's some things maybe holding it back, it's like a game that tries to copy the Zelda formula, right? And if the game copies the Zelda formula and copies it well, and it's a great game, but you're like, man, this game's not as good as playing an actual Zelda game. It's like, well, at least it's taking from inspired material that's a beloved classic. Like, if you're not going to do something fully new, take from something that's great. I guess that's the way to look at it with this. So, yeah, Furiosa, great movie. Wish that it had done better at the box office, but Memorial Day weekend is kind of like a notoriously bad movie weekend, or like as far as the summer's concerned, it's never super high performing. But the fact that this one is a historically low one is sad, considering such a great movie is releasing.
Yeah, I mean, when you're talking about movie box office and stuff, I mean, we got to start taking into account the fact that people, like, just the cost of living's high, wages are low, and it's just I imagine that's a huge factor in it too that people don't usually address, especially the bigger, like, critics and stuff. It's you're kind of getting people from a smaller pool now, because it's just the cost of entry, man. But yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
It's been the excuse for years now. It's like to go to the movie with my family of 4 and to buy popcorn and to buy drinks,
Yeah.
On top of the tickets, you're looking at like $100 plus outing for your family for a couple of hours. And those prices have only gone up since people were already making those complaints 5, even 10 years ago. Like, it's only gotten worse. So, I mean, it's tough. Sometimes I go to the movie by myself, and depending on what time of day it is, my ticket's like anywhere from $15 to $18 for myself. And that's in Houston. I feel like that used to be the prices reserved for like your New Yorks or your LAs. Like, that's a prime time showing for Houston too.
I mean, yeah, it's just all these things are definitely factors. Furiosa, I'm sure, is great, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, I'll look forward to us talking about that more once you've seen it, and we'll have to have Keon on, whether he's on the episode or he just records like a postscript that we could add on to it, giving his take. We'll
that'd be funny. Yeah, I've always wanted to do something like add some like outside audio that let's take a listen, and that'd be fun.
Yep, we'll have to do it. Boy, oh boy! So that was Furiosa, and then the only other movie I have is not a very good movie.
It didn't. I've seen the previews. It did not look very.
And you
good.
didn't watch it?
This is the one with J-Lo, right?
It sure is.
Oh
this
boy!
Is Atlas. Atlas, now streaming on Netflix, directed by Brad Payton, who is Brad Payton is kind of his history is working with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. He directed Journey to the Mysterious Island,
oh boy,
San Andreas, and most recently Rampage, based off of the video game.
So he's never made a good movie. That's what you're telling me.
I mean, before Journey to the Mysterious Island, he directed Cats and Dogs: The Revenge of Kitty Galore. So, that was actually his film directorial debut. So there you have it.
It's been downhill somehow since.
And now we have a J-Lo AI mech robot film straight to Netflix. And here's what I have to say about this, because I saw the preview for this, I saw the poster for this, and I thought, oh no, why am I even starting this up? This is gonna be another Red Notice or The Gray Man, or, oh gosh, I can't even remember what the movie was called. It was a Netflix movie with Gal Gadot, and she was like a spy, assassin, something where they were all like deck of cards themed. Are you familiar with what I'm talking about? It's called Heart of Stone. That's what the film's called, Heart of Stone.
Yeah.
That's a really bad movie. That's actually the worst of the ones that I had listed there. I'm like, this is going to be an extremely forgettable, bland action movie that probably has a big budget, and it's just not good, right? Luckily, it's actually better than those movies I listed, although not that the bar was very high.
Okay. I actually liked The Gray Man a bit. Okay. I didn't think it was awful. So if this is better, maybe I will watch it. But
let me see if I can kind of like recount the plot to you here, because this plot centers a lot on AI, but yet feels like if AI wrote a script about AI, if that makes sense. So Atlas, which is J-Lo's character, Jennifer Lopez, she is like
a collection of maps.
She's not a collection of maps, despite the name. It is just there to throw you off. She's an analyst who deeply distrusts AI, right? And this stems back from her childhood. Her mother was a scientist who worked with AI, who developed this AI robot, essentially, that's played by Simu Liu, Shang-Chi himself.
Yep. Okay.
And this AI, played by Simu Liu, his name's Harlan. And Harlan seemingly overwrote his own programming, right? So extended beyond his AI capabilities and became evil. You know, essentially murdered Atlas's mother, presumably, and has just gone on a terror, and helping other AI to essentially rise against their human creators, right? So now Atlas is an analyst in I can't even sit here and tell you like what the actual like military organization is called. She's an analyst for some sort of group that fights AI using mech robots. But their mech robots also use AI, but it's smarter AI that's good AI that goes against the old bad AI, right?
Okay.
And that's the thing is, essentially, as part of the plot, J-Lo has to bond with this mech robot and connect with the AI, but she's very hesitant to do so because of her past and her distrust. And like 70% of this movie is J-Lo in a mech robot, like talking to it and communicating with it and trying to find Harlan. And it's just very interesting. I'm like, she must have just filmed this movie the same way that Robert Downey Jr. would film the scenes where he's inside the Iron Man armor,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's what I was
probably
imagining.
just like laying on a bed with the camera in his face, and he's doing his one-liners and such. Except she had like a little bit more room to work in because she's in like a pod, but like a lot of it is just that, and then it's like all CG stuff. Some of the mech CG is better than I expected it to be, like kind of fun.
Okay.
But boy, is this plot just super easy to predict what happens. Like you just there's nothing surprising here. J-Lo's not very good in it. That might shock you. It's just like kind of weird casting, having her in this weird mech action movie.
It's really weird casting, man. There's so many like sci-fi women of sci-fi that would crush this role. It's weird that they paid J-Lo a lot of money to do it.
Well, and here's the thing with J-Lo in these types of movies, and I don't understand why they do this kind of thing. And it's to the point where it is distracting when I'm watching it, right? They show, like, the beginning kind of shows a montage of what happened in the past with Harlan and the AI kind of uprising and so on and so forth, right? And I believe they state in that time that Atlas, J-Lo's character, is like 11 years old or so. She's young, right? And then it does 28 years later. And now we're in the current with J-Lo. And I'm like, I can do math. J-Lo, 11 years old, 28 years later. So you're saying J-Lo in this movie is 39 years old. Okay. J-Lo, it is like well known that J-Lo is in her 50s now. She looks fantastic.
She looks fantastic, yeah.
Years old. Has just aged amazingly. It's distracting to me that you're having her try to play 15 years younger than she is when, like, she looks so great. Like, just have her be her age. Like, what are you trying to do by, like, it's distracting me knowing her age and seeing her play younger. She looks great, and sure, she can play the age, but it's like, it's pretty well documented how old she is. Just have her play her age. I don't understand it. It's like a really weird thing to get hung up on.
That's a funny gripe, but yeah, I get it. That's an interesting point for sure. Like, what's wrong with her being older? Yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you're almost being ageist by having the character be so young.
Yeah, exactly.
Because there's no reason why she needs to be in her 30s. Like, just have her be her age.
Yeah, you chose what to write on the 28 years later screen. Like, you could have just put 38 years later or whatever.
Yeah. Exactly. So, anyways, it is a weird gripe, but
it's a funny gripe. I appreciate that gripe.
Sterling K. Brown and Mark Strong are both in this movie as supporting characters. Sterling K. Brown, I think, is great in everything he's in, and he's really good in this. He's like way better than this movie deserves.
Yeah.
Mark Strong is great as usual, but he's a small part. Simu Liu, man, I don't know, like. I think he's a very fun personality. Like, he's very fun in the media. He's been on the media circuit recently because he's in Barbie. Obviously, he did a ton of media with Shang-Chi. He's going to be in future Shang-Chi movies or future Avengers movies. Like, we're going to see a lot of him. But, man, like, I really liked Shang-Chi, and I thought he was very good in it. And it's like, oh, man, this is a brand new, bright Asian-American star. Like, what kind of roles is he going to get moving forward, right? And the AI villain in this straight-to-Netflix movie, it ain't it, man. Like, and it's a shame, because I like him a lot. And he's in Barbie, don't get me wrong, he's very funny in it. He's a Ken in that movie, but like it is very much a smaller supporting part. I haven't seen Arthur the King, which is the Mark Wahlberg movie that came out in theaters a few months ago that he apparently Simu Liu is also in. But I'm just like, man, like where's the next great Simu Liu project?
Yeah.
Where is he? When is he going to cash in on the Shang-Chi fame and do something really cool? Because the villain in Atlas, man, I'm sorry, but like you're better than this, Simu Liu, and he's fine in it, I guess. But it's like he's generic AI robot villain.
Yeah, I mean, so maybe for some people, they just say yes to everything, and gets their name out there. They stay relevant, and it gets them the bigger parts. Sometimes it works. Some people are much more picky with their roles. Maybe he's just trying to like stay in the public's gaze. Maybe he's just trying to, you know what I mean? Like maybe it's his strategy or his agent's strategy. But also maybe he didn't think it would be a big deal because he's not on screen, and he just wanted to make that paycheck. I don't know, man, but I agree that I've been waiting for him to do something crazy awesome too. And he hasn't, so we'll see.
And he's our age, so like luckily he's still pretty young. Also, I want to correct myself because I said he was an Asian American actor, but it looks like he actually was born in China and then he's Canadian after that. So like, just let me scratch that and
Whoops.
correct myself.
No, that's fine. Yeah, it happens.
But anyways,
I didn't know he was Canadian. That's cool.
Yeah, he was on a Canadian TV show called Kim's Convenience for years, and I know that he's like he kind of comes from a background of comedy, and then him getting Shang-Chi was a really big deal. And yeah, again, I'm just like I just want more from him. I want better for him than this. So I'm not trying to dog on him at all. It's quite the opposite. I like him a lot, and I wish that he was doing better projects or getting offered better roles than this. So, but it'll come, and he's gonna get that Marvel money, so he's definitely not struggling, I'm sure. But yeah, I don't know. That's my gripe about Atlas, a movie that I've spent way too much time talking about on a show.
No, I enjoyed
more
it.
of a light on it than I should, but it is fresh. Excuse me, it's not a fresh film, but it's fresh in my mind because I watched it. This is one of the few movies I was able to fit in over the weekend.
Excellent. I haven't watched any movies, but since we're going to move on to fresh TV, I got the only entry here. I watched Bodkin on Netflix. I've seen
this popping up on the Netflix carousel, but I haven't checked it out.
Yeah, I saw Will Forte was in it. I love Will Forte. Wanted to check it out. It is not a comedy. He is playing a serious role. His character is still kind of goofy. And he's one of the main characters. I'm not sure that I would say he's the main character. There's Saban Cullen plays Dove, who is an investigative journalist, like a hard-ass investigative journalist woman who, like, she's very serious. She is a phenomenal actress. I'm not sure what I've seen her in before, but she really carries the first few episodes. Will Forte's character develops very well in this, I feel, and by the third episode, I really liked his character, and he had a lot of depth. I'm not going to say he's the greatest actor ever, but he does a good job in this. It is sort of a mystery crime drama show that takes place in Ireland in a small town. I believe the town is Bodkin. And they're overturning rocks to find the story of these kids that went missing on a Sam Hain night, which is like their Halloween, like 20 years ago or something. And when they're kicking these rocks over, obviously they find some things. It's very interesting. I find the layered mystery very satisfying as it's revealed. You don't necessarily see the changes coming. A very interesting show. I'm not the biggest crime drama kind of person, but I do enjoy them sometimes. This is a good one. But yeah, Will Forte's character is a podcaster trying to make a podcast, and Saban Cullen's character is a serious journalist, and she is mad that she has to work with him. But they eventually find common ground, and it's really good. I enjoy it a lot. I'm gonna finish this show for sure. I watched about the first 3. Absolutely, I certify it fresh. I think it's a great show. I wish it was like pushed harder on Netflix. Like it's not on the front page or anything, which I think is a mistake on their part. I think this is actually a very good show, and really shows that Netflix, they can do some interesting stuff. And this feels, I've seen a lot of crime dramas. This one's pretty fresh. It's a different take, different character dynamics, and it's just a very refreshing take on the whole genre. I enjoy it.
Just to comment on Will Forte in general, mostly known for comedy. Like, kind of when I think of Will Forte, I still think of MacGruber, which I find him to be very funny in that role. And I think the MacGruber movie that came out years ago, I think in 2010, I think is very, very funny. But he's also done, he's in the movie Nebraska, which is an Alexander Payne movie that's kind of a comedy, but also kind of a drama, and he's playing a more serious part in it. He does a lot of comedy in it, but it's a more grounded role. And he's very good in that, and I just think that Will Forte is interesting because I like when he does serious, but I think he's one of the funniest when he does funny. Like, I think he's hilarious in MacGruber. You and I saw Strays together, and I thought he was hilarious.
Oh my god, he was so funny in Strays.
And he's just one of those, when he's being funny, I think he's very funny. I also really like the show that he did, The Last Man on Earth.
Last Man on Earth, I loved it.
Honestly, probably one of the last, network TV, cable TV shows I watch, non-streaming, that I, actually tuned into regularly. So, yeah, just a TV show that I really like. I just wanted to heap praise onto Will Forte. I think he's very funny. So that's the thing with this show. I have seen it a little bit on Netflix, not trending to the point like you'd like it to, like you said. But the fact that he's in it is the one thing that kind of makes me hover over it and be like, do I want to start this?
See, I saw he was in it, and I was like, yep, and I clicked it, and I watched it, and I enjoyed it. So I feel the same way about Will Forte. I love the guy, so... That's all the fresh TV already. That was it. Just the one TV thing. And now, speaking of gamers, it's time to jump into fresh games of the week, beginning with Xbox GamePass's new day one release, first party game, Hellblade 2, Senua's Saga. So,
which I keep saying it wrong, because the first one was Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice was the name, right? Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. This time it's reversed. It's Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, which is confusing. But, I was excited for this game because it's an Xbox Game Studios game, and it's developed by Ninja Theory, who was purchased by Xbox, I think, back in 2018-ish, after the first Hellblade had already been released. And they've essentially been working on Hellblade 2 ever since. It's had a really long development cycle. Here we are in 2024. I remember when the Xbox Series X was announced and they were showing games as for it, Hellblade 2 was teased then. So we've been seeing previews for this game for what seemed like forever. And it's finally here and coming out on Game Pass. So it just feels like, we're finally seeing some of the fruits of Microsoft purchase once again, because this is the first game they've released since then. Well, not the first one. They did another game. Ninja Theory did at a free-to-play online game. But neither here nor there. This is the one that we've been waiting for.
Oh, for sure.
And
yeah,
I am glad that the developers were transparent, because I feel like they did kind of set some expectations in recent years. You and I have both played the first Hellblade, I believe, and I think we're both fans of it. Am I remembering correctly?
Correct, yeah. I enjoyed the first one very much.
And the first one is short. You can beat it in probably 6 to 7 hours. And it is story focused. There's a bit of combat, but the combat's nothing super creative, whatever. It's really more of an experience. It's more of an art piece, I think is the best way to put it. They even have a notification that comes up when you play the game that says this game is best played with headphones, to fully capture the surround sound, because the character that you play, Senua, hears voices, and they play a part in the story, and they play a part they're really a part of the gameplay. So hearing the voices as you're playing in headphones is really incredible. So that's kind of the first game. the second game, when they were doing it, and because the development cycle was so long, I, in my own head, was like, maybe they're making it more into a streamlined AAA action game, not as much the art piece of the first game. Maybe they're going to go as like more of the modern God of War games, the most recent ones, and really have this be like a big open story focused third person adventure game that's lacking in the Xbox games catalog. And they started setting expectations months ago that it was not going to be that, right? This was very much going to be a sequel to the first game. This was going to be another 6 to 8 hour experience, building upon the first one that's really story focused. So I'm glad that they did that, because when you play this game, I am probably about maybe a little less than halfway through it. I would have loved to play more, but like we said, we had a busy holiday weekend, so I didn't really get to play over the weekend. I'll likely have beaten it by the next time that we record this podcast. But it is very much, again, like an art piece. It looks incredible. It's probably the best looking Xbox game that I've ever seen. And I feel like that's,
It's it's a very beautiful game. I would go further. I would say, on top of that, the sound design is, saying it's great is just doesn't cut it, man. It is revolutionary, the sound design. It's because you're talking about the headphones, man. You can hear the voices at a certain point, man. Like, it sounds like someone is talking on your neck, and I swear I could feel their breath, man. Like, it's so immersive the way they have this, these hearing voices play out. And they're always saying relevant stuff to what's going on, and it's kind of creepy, and it's disorienting, and it's sort of harrowing, because, man, like, they cast doubt on you when you mess up or when you're having trouble, and it's like, man, is this what it's really like to be, crazy, or, have this, not crazy, but, to hear voices? Is this what it's like to be schizophrenic? Or, it's a very unique experience that I don't think you can get anywhere else in games.
How far are you in the game, John?
I'm not very far. I made it past the beach, and I got past like the first big boss, and started getting into the when you take a prisoner. If you catch my drift,
yes.
Yeah. So
yes.
I took a prisoner, and that's about where I'm at.
Okay.
And that whole fight, man, that was an experience. That was, like, I was doubting myself because the voices were doubting me. Like, it was hard. And I don't know, man, Senua is she's such a strong character. Like, so impressive. Mm-hmm. Just absolutely has no quit. And the game is brutal. Some of those execution moves are so vicious, dude. It's quite the thing. I enjoy it very much so far.
And because of the voices and because of the state of her character, like, the story is interesting to me, but you're constantly kind of like, is this even really happening, or is this all in her mind? Because she's like, she's got a lot going on.
They do a better job of making you unable to tell than most games that try that kind of thing, because a lot of times you're like, oh, that's probably fake, blah blah blah. In this game, like, the way she reacts to it and the way it hampers you, like, it really does feel like you can't tell what's real or what's fake. It's impressive.
And she does interact with characters in the game that even refer to her being a crazy person, and dealing with her in that way, which just adds to the realism. I'll say this too, my own setup at home and where I play games, most of the games that I play, I've got like a small, it's very compact, but it's a media room that has 7.1 built-in surround sound. Like, I have a pretty good setup. That being said, headphones is still the right way to play this game. That's how I've been playing it. And this is the type of game that your experience with it could be, you could make it or break it by if you're wearing headphones or not. Like, the true experience for this game is playing headphones, and I feel like saying that sounds silly, but it's true. Like, that's the way to really immerse yourself.
They went through a lot of trouble to make the experience that way. So, of course, you're going to get the best experience by doing it, because it's built for headphones.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. So, anyways, I haven't beaten this yet, so I can't comment on it, but I feel like the The combat, from what I've experienced, is better than the first game. The game looks great, like we've already said. They did cap it at 30 frames per second, so if you're like a tech head, if that bothers you, you know, it is what it is, but it doesn't mean the game doesn't look amazing. It's just the game has so much going on. That's what they had to do. But there's been some really great moments. I think the only thing that's a knock against it is also, I think, what makes it great is, again, this is an art piece. This is an experience. And at the very beginning of the game, it's so cinematic that at times I was like, I don't know if I'm actually making Senua move or if she's moving on her own, like as she's climbing this cliff. But when I stopped moving anything on the remote, she stopped moving. So I was like, oh, okay, I was making her move. Like that's, which, you know, for some people, maybe that doesn't sound fun or not. I don't know. But as far as an experience goes, I got more into it as I played, and the game opens up a little bit more. I mean, it's a very linear game, but at least it makes you feel like you have more control over it as it goes on. And so, yeah, I'll check back in with it once I've beaten it. But so far, I am enjoying it, and I think that it's a really cool addition to the Xbox library, but it does not fill the place that I wanted it to, of having like a great story-driven third-person action game that PlayStation has become so known for. You know, their Uncharted's, their God of War's, The Last of Us, those kinds of like action games that the Xbox originals, like you know, the Xbox Game Studios library sorely lacks. This is not that. So if you go into it expecting it, you're bound to be disappointed, even though it's a great experience for what it is, for what it's trying to be.
I 100% agree with that. Yeah, if you like the first one, this one's great for the same reasons. It's not that. It's not a crazy AAA action game. That's not what it is. They wanted to do what they wanted to do, and I think they did it. They made this. They made a singular experience that you can enjoy, and I like it. I recommend it. Certified fresh, free on Game Pass. It's a great addition. But yeah, there it is.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, my stream popped for a second there. I'm back. Everyone can hear me. Okay, yeah. So, sorry, technical difficulties. Yeah. So it's absolutely a great game, a great experience. I think people should check it out. And but it still goes to the conversation we were having earlier about like the roster not being quite there yet. This game doesn't really. This game's a great experience, and it's great to have it on there, but it doesn't fill, like you said, the niche that they need. I need Fable, man. I need Fable to come out. We need whatever the next Halo is. You know, like there's some stuff that's lacking.
I do feel like there's some hope on the horizon. You mentioned Fable. There's the new game from Compulsion Games Studios that I don't have it up, but it was kind of like a New Orleans Bayou themed game that looked really cool, like kind of voodoo.
Yeah, voodoo shadow puppet style almost kind of characters, and yeah.
Yeah, and like, you know, we're gonna get an Indiana Jones game. It's a first-person game, but like I'm excited for it. I think it looks very good. I don't know what the level of excitement is for that across, you know, all of gaming, or if that's just me as an Xbox.
I look forward to it. Indiana Jones isn't my thing, but I do look forward to it. The game that I'm most excited for this year that's coming out on Game Pass day one is Frostpunk 2, which is a sequel to the hugely popular city builder game Frostpunk. So that's one of the ones I'm really excited for. But yeah, there is hope on the horizon, for sure.
It's, what's it called? South of Midnight is the game. So we know we're getting that. Clockwork Revolution from NXIL, Fable. We know that there's a Perfect Dark remake being done by a new studio, The Initiative, but I think it's just been having difficulties. Like, we've known about it for a long time. Project Mara is the next game from Ninja Theory that I think they'll do in between doing another Hellblade game, and it'll probably be like a kind of a horror-themed game. So, like, there's some cool things coming, but I just still... it's like by the time we get there with these things, I'm nervous about the current state of Xbox. And like by that time, are they just going to be a publisher? I think they're still going to have a console, but like, are these games going to be on PlayStation or not? It's a really unsure landscape to be in. And I feel like it's just hard. As somebody that has been an Xbox fanboy for a long time and who has constantly been of like, this year wasn't that great, but next year's going to be the year. I've been that fan for like a decade now. And I'm finally getting to the point where I'm like, I still like my Xbox, but like I'm just going to go dabble on my PlayStation for a little bit, while I can. And so I'm still going to support, I'm still going to play these games, I'm still going to subscribe to Game Pass, I'm still going to get probably the next Xbox console, but I try to be optimistic. And you know what? Maybe in 2 weeks, we're going to be post this Xbox Game Showcase and be like, we're back, baby. Like, Xbox is back. We're back. We're all here. Full steam ahead. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows, man? I hope some fan makes a supercut of you saying this before the other Xbox lives throughout the years, too, because that'd be really funny. I hope you're right. And I'm not giving up yet. I haven't given up by any means. I still love Xbox and think that there's a lot of potential there and that they've come close in a lot of ways. But, I'll believe it when I see it. And I look forward to this next Xbox showcase.
I agree.
The only other game that I've been checking out, it's a free-to-play game from Ubisoft, X Defiant, it's a very interesting concept. Is a FPS. It is kind of like the Super Smash Brothers for Ubisoft. So like all their shooter titles have like factions on here. You can play characters from Splinter Cell. What's it called? The Division. There's Far Cry characters. Watchdog is on there, and there's one other one I can't remember. But I think Phantoms, they're the Phantoms, whatever the Phantoms are from. But yeah, so it's a squad-based game where you have these characters. Your faction dictates what abilities you can have. Within the faction, they don't have any different powers, but you get to choose from one of two powers. You can get shields, you can turn invisible, stuff like that. Pretty typical things. There's gun customization. You can build your loadouts. Typical game modes range from, protect the payload, take and hold missions, stuff like that. Pretty standard. They're not doing anything revolutionary here. It is a free-to-play game. It has been pretty fun. It's very intense, and it feels like people are exploiting things maybe in these first few weeks. I think it's worth giving a shot. If you're a fan of FPSs, squad-based shooters, this is a great one to pick up with your friends for completely free. X Defiant, available on most consoles, I believe, and cross-play compatible. So yeah, check it out. That's Ubisoft's latest shooter.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Any other things you got?
Man, I've been playing a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Nothing to write home about yet. I want to play some of them a little bit more before I talk about them. But yeah, there's been a lot of.
Oh, go ahead.
There's been a lot of sales lately. A lot of really good sales. I just bought Planet Coaster on Steam for $2. Which is a theme park building game, which is one of my favorite genres. $2 for one of the best ones, so that's pretty exciting. A lot of those kind of deals have been coming out, so it's been a good time to be a PC gamer for sure.
One of the games that I've held off on buying that I fully intend to play is Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which is the second of the Final Fantasy VII Remake games. Basically, it's Part 2. Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 is essentially what that is. And it came out literally like a week before my daughter was born, and I was like, well, I'm not going to get into this because I'm not going to be able to play it the way that I want it to when I have a newborn. And so, sure enough, I've put it off, and I'm still really wanting to play it. And there's actually a PlayStation sale that starts tomorrow as of our recording date, and it's going to be 25% off. So it's like, sometimes you wait to play a game, and you get rewarded for for your waiting with a nice sale. So I'll be checking out that sale when it starts tomorrow. Lots of good sales, like you said. And I'll say this: having family in the house over the weekend, not being able to play games the same way that I normally would, my PlayStation Portal sure came in handy a few times over the weekend when it was at night and I just wanted to play games. In bed, I could play my PlayStation 5, stream it to my my PlayStation Portal. Continuing to have a great experience with that piece of hardware for sure.
So portable gaming is the savior of gaming dads, is what you're saying here.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's probably a really good piece of dad advice you just gave me, so I appreciate that. Hey, all we got left now is our fresh picks of the week. I'll dive in. My fresh pick of the week is Bodkin on Netflix, starring Will Forte. A crime drama taking place in Ireland that is pretty... it's mostly serious, but it's still got some comedy in it. Check out Bodkin. Absolutely fresh.
And I'm going to go with Furiosa for my fresh pick. And I think that it is a fantastic movie, a great summer theater experience. It's a shame that more people aren't going to see it. And if you liked Mad Max Fury Road, you should love Furiosa, unless your name is Keon, apparently. Although I don't know if he loved Fury Road or not. Did he?
Oh, he loved Fury Road. Yeah, we actually saw that together, and it was great.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, we'll
get to the bottom of this. Yeah. Hey everyone, thanks for listening. This has been Fresh Out the Podcast. I've been the board game guru, game master extraordinaire, Jahananan. Hey, if you like me and you like Gary, you might want to check out our other stuff, Fresh Out the Box. Usually streaming on Thursdays and Fridays, 8 to 11 Central Standard Time. We do TTRPGs because we're the TTRPG guys. That's tabletop role-playing games for the uninitiated. Come and get initiated. Currently, we're playing Fantasy Age. We have our grand finale of Avatar, the last Avatar Legends from Modivia's Games, or from Magpie Games, sorry, this Friday. And then every other Friday after that, we are going to be playing the Fallout tabletop role-playing game from Modivia's Entertainment using the 2D20 system. Very excited to play my ghoul blacksmith Hephaestus in this upcoming game. So check it out, and thanks for listening.
I'm the professional media and movie mastermind, the Funhouse, Drew Munhausen, and this has been episode 124 of Fresh Out the Podcast.
Stay fresh.